Before you think about walking away from her, take a moment. You see, many men throw in the towel too soon. They feel like they've already lost the fight before it even begins. She's pulling away, acting distant, maybe not responding like she once did, and that sinking feeling tells you it's over. But what if I said this might actually be your greatest opportunity? What if, instead of giving up and feeling defeated, you could shift the entire situation in your favor without chasing, pleading, or sacrificing your self-respect? The truth is, most men don't see this for what it is. They panic, react emotionally, and make things worse. That's the trap. Acting out of desperation is what often destroys any chance of turning things around. But here's the good news. You don't have to fall into that trap. Instead, take a step back, keep your cool, and approach things differently. There's a way to rebuild that connection without losing yourself in the process. And if you follow what I'm about to share, you'll be in a place few men ever manage to reach. So before you give up completely, listen closely. This could change everything. Let's dive in. Let's start with the big question. 1. Why is she pulling away in the first place? When a woman starts to become distant, many men panic. They jump to conclusions. Maybe she's lost interest, or maybe there's someone else. But it's rarely that simple. Women don't just wake up one day and stop caring. It's a gradual shift happening over time, and often it comes down to one key thing. She's no longer feeling the excitement of the chase. Think about when you first met her. There was mystery, excitement, and a sense of challenge. But now, she knows exactly how you feel. Everything has become predictable. And here's where it gets interesting. Women will subconsciously test your emotional strength. They want to know how you'll handle it when things feel uncertain. Will you stay calm? Will you get desperate and overreact? Or will you keep your composure? Here's the truth. She needs space to feel that spark again. Attraction isn't about constant words of reassurance. It's built through tension, distance, and emotional shifts. When something is always readily available, it starts to lose its value. And, unfortunately, this is where most men go wrong. When she pulls away, they panic and push harder, texting more, calling more, trying more. But that only makes things worse. Why? Because if she doesn't have to work for your attention, she won't value it. And without that value, attraction slowly fades. So, the key: don't chase. Give her the space to rediscover those feelings. You'll be surprised at how powerful that shift can be. The silent test. Most men miss this subtle signal entirely when a woman starts pulling away. It's not always intentional on her part. Often, it's a subconscious test of your emotional strength. Her instincts are quietly observing. She's asking herself, can he handle this without losing his cool? Will he hold his ground, or will he start chasing me? Is he a man with real confidence and options, or is he just pretending? Here's where many men stumble. The moment she becomes distant, they panic. She doesn't reply right away, so they send another text. Her responses slow down, and they immediately ask if something's wrong. She cancels plans, and they rush to reschedule. Every one of these reactions confirms to her that she's in control. And once she senses that control, attraction fades. But the men who pass this test, the ones who stand out, respond differently. They don't become emotionally reactive. They don't beg for explanations or validation. They don't chase. They simply stay grounded. And that's when something shifts inside her. She begins to feel curiosity, even regret. Here's a truth that many men overlook. Women don't fall in love with what's always there. They fall in love with space and absence. When you constantly offer yourself without boundaries, your presence loses its value. But when you pull back at the right moment, it changes the game. Think of it like this. If something is always available, it becomes easy to take for granted. But when it suddenly disappears, it grabs attention. You start thinking about it, wondering where it went. The same principle applies in relationships. So instead of always being the first to text her, hold off. Let her notice your silence. Instead of liking all her posts, let her wonder why you didn't react this time. Instead of rearranging your schedule to accommodate her, stick to your priorities. When you stop being predictable and overly available, the dynamic shifts. She starts asking herself, why hasn't he responded? Did I lose him? Is he seeing someone else? This curiosity and uncertainty stir her emotions. It's not about playing games. It's about holding your ground and maintaining your sense of self-worth. The moment you stop giving away your time and energy so easily, she starts to miss you. She begins to appreciate your presence because now it feels earned, not guaranteed. And in that absence, attraction grows. Silence, used wisely, can be more powerful than words. So 3. What to do instead of chasing. When a woman pulls away, many men make the mistake of trying to fix things right away. They think, if I explain myself, if I show her how much I care, she'll come back to me. But here's the truth. Attraction doesn't work like that. Words alone won't reignite her feelings. In fact, chasing her with too much attention often pushes her further away. So, what should you do instead? Match her energy. If she becomes distant, don't panic and start overcompensating. Don't flood her with messages or declarations of how much you care. Pull back, stay grounded, and maintain emotional balance. Let her feel the natural space you create. This doesn't mean playing hard to get or being cold. It's about respecting yourself and the connection. If she reaches out, of course, respond. But don't rush to overinvest or try to force things. Keep your cool. Focus on your own life, your goals, and your well-being. You see, when you hold back and stop chasing, you're sending a powerful message. I am secure in who I am. I'm not desperate for validation. This quiet confidence is incredibly attractive. It allows her to reflect and realize that your presence is something valuable, not something that can be taken for granted. Remember, the key is balance. Be present when she shows genuine interest, but don't overstep when she pulls away. By matching her energy, you create a healthy dynamic where both of you can approach the relationship with mutual respect and curiosity. 4. When she comes back, how to handle it. Many men make the mistake of welcoming a woman back too easily. She's gone for days or even weeks without a word, then suddenly sends a casual, "Hey," and what do most guys do? They jump at the opportunity, eager to reconnect, like nothing happened. But that's a huge mistake. Here's how to approach it instead. Stay composed. Don't treat her message like it's the highlight of your week. If she walked away, she needs to show through her actions that she's serious about coming back. Let her earn your attention. This doesn't mean being rude or distant. It means setting boundaries and controlling the pace of the interaction. Don't fall back into old patterns where you immediately give her all your time and energy. Let her feel the distance that was created when she pulled away. Allow her to experience what life is like without your constant presence. When you maintain this self-respect, something interesting happens. she starts to respect you more. Why? Because now she knows that you won't be taken for granted. Now, here's a hard truth that every man needs to understand. Not every woman will come back, and that's perfectly okay. If she decides not to return, then she just saved you from wasting more time and emotional energy on someone who wasn't truly right for you. You don't want a woman who only sticks around because you chased her down and convinced her to stay. You want someone who chooses to stay because she values you for who you are. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have, yet most men don't understand its value. When a woman starts pulling away, many guys panic. They think they need to argue, explain themselves, or constantly fight for her attention. But the truth is, silence speaks louder than any words ever could. Silence creates curiosity, mystery, and a shift in emotional dynamics. At first, she might not even notice. She'll assume you'll be back, that you'll check in, send a message, or try to fix things. But then days pass, and you're still silent. Then weeks go by. Slowly, she begins to sense that something has changed. Suddenly, you're no longer the predictable guy who always reaches out. You're not the man who waits around for her attention. Instead, you've removed yourself from her world, and that absence creates a void. She didn't expect it, and it forces her to re-evaluate her feelings. This shift in emotional power is key. You're no longer the one chasing. You've become the man who knows his worth, who maintains his peace of mind, and who lets the right person come to him without forcing it. This is how respect and genuine attraction are built. 5. Why women underestimate you until you go silent. Many women believe that men will always be there, ready, waiting, and available no matter what. Why wouldn't they think that? Most men can't handle a woman pulling away. They chase, they cling, and they try to fix things the moment distance appears. It's predictable, and women come to expect it. But when you choose a different path, when you don't chase and instead go silent, you disrupt that expectation. Suddenly, you're not playing by the usual script, and that shift catches her off guard. She begins to wonder, why isn't he reacting? Why hasn't he reached out? Has he already moved on? These thoughts create a ripple effect deep inside her. What starts as curiosity turns into uncertainty. She begins questioning what she thought she knew about you. Did I misjudge him? Is he stronger than I realized? That single question, did I misjudge him, opens a door to powerful emotions she wasn't prepared for. It forces her to reflect on the value of your presence and the balance in the relationship. She starts to crave the attention you once gave so freely. Silence, when used wisely, shifts the emotional dynamic. It's not about manipulation. It's about showing quiet confidence and self-respect. In that silence, she's faced with something rare. A man who knows his worth and doesn't beg for validation. That is what makes you stand out. 6. The moment she feels your absence. Here's a truth most men never experience because they give up too soon. At first, when you go silent, she might feel just fine, maybe even a little relieved. She assumes you'll reach out soon, that you'll check in like you always do. But then, silence. No texts, no calls, no reactions to her social media posts. Days pass, and still, nothing. Weeks go by. At first, she barely notices, but then something shifts. She starts checking her phone more frequently, expecting a message from you that never comes. Slowly, that initial relief fades and is replaced by uncertainty. For the first time, She's the one left wondering, did I make a mistake? The dynamic has flipped. You're no longer chasing, no longer predictable, and that disrupts everything she thought she knew. This absence of yours becomes powerful because it's not about playing games. It's about giving both of you space to reflect. It shows her that you're someone who doesn't depend on constant validation, someone who values himself enough to step back. That silence speaks volumes. It forces her to reconsider, not because you're pressuring her, but because your absence creates a void she wasn't expecting. And in that void, she begins to question herself and the choices she made. That's the moment she truly starts to feel your worth. 7. The unspoken rule of attraction. Here's a truth that often goes unnoticed. A woman values you based on how difficult you are to replace. When you were always there, always available, she never had to think about the possibility of losing you. You were constant, predictable, and easy to access. But now that you've stepped back, things have shifted. She begins to feel your absence, and that feeling unsettles her. She starts reflecting. Did I take him for granted? Did I misjudge how much he truly brought to my life? What's interesting is that these thoughts creep in quietly, almost without her realizing it. It's a subconscious reaction. You see, when something is readily available at all times, it naturally loses its value. It becomes background noise, something noticed only when it's suddenly gone. But when that same thing disappears, it turns into a mystery. And mystery sparks curiosity, which leads to attraction. This isn't about manipulation or mind games. It's about creating balance. By not always being present, you show her that your time and attention are valuable. This subtle change forces her to reassess her feelings, and that's where true attraction grows, through reflection, curiosity, and respect for what can no longer be taken for granted. 8. Why does she suddenly start watching you again? When the silence sets in, something shifts. She does what many women instinctively do. She starts paying attention. She checks your online activity, scrolls through old conversations, and might even like one of your posts to test the waters. She's trying to see if you'll react. But why? Because now a new thought is nagging at her mind. Did I actually lose him? This question takes root and keeps her focused on you. It's not just curiosity, it's a deeper emotional response. The moment a woman starts to believe she might have lost a man who was once fully invested in her, it stirs something unexpected. It makes her question her decisions and the role you played in her life. Suddenly, she's confronted with feelings of regret and uncertainty. Your absence, which at first seemed manageable, now starts to weigh on her emotionally. This is the power of distance. It forces her to reevaluate everything she took for granted. In that space of reflection, attraction can reignite, not because you're chasing her, but because you've shown that you're not someone who lingers where you're not valued. That quiet confidence speaks louder than words ever could. 9. The subtle signs. She's testing the waters. Here's where many men slip up. When a woman sends out a small test, they fall right into it. Maybe she sends a casual, "Hey," reacts to one of your posts, or texts you something trivial. To you, it might seem harmless, but it's not. It's her way of asking, "Are you still there?" If you respond too quickly, too eagerly, you give her the answer she's looking for. You confirm that she still has full access to you whenever she wants. And just like that, the dynamic resets. She knows she can still get your attention easily, and that realization makes the spark fade again. What's the solution? Don't jump at every little interaction. Stay composed. Respond on your own terms, not hers. By doing this, you subtly communicate that you're not waiting by the phone for her. You're a man with priorities and boundaries. This doesn't mean ignoring her or playing hard to get. It's about showing quiet confidence. When you don't react immediately, you create space for her to truly reflect on what you mean to her. That space keeps curiosity and attraction alive. It lets her know that your attention is valuable, something she has to earn, not something she can control with a simple message. 10. How to handle the moment. She reaches out. When she finally reaches out after a period of silence, many men see it as a victory. They think, she's back. Now I can go back to how things were. But that's a mistake. This moment is crucial because how you respond will shape everything moving forward. You have two choices. You can fall right back into the old patterns, making it easy for her to feel in control again, or you can stay composed, keeping your boundaries firm, and let her work for your attention this time. The second option is what will keep her intrigued. Why? Because now you're not the same man she once thought she had figured out. You've changed. You're no longer predictable. Now you present a challenge. And the truth is, women are drawn to challenges. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It's about maintaining your self-respect. Don't hand over your time and energy too easily. Allow the relationship dynamic to shift naturally. Let her feel that your presence is something special, something she has to earn. By holding your ground and staying balanced, you show her that you're someone worth valuing, and that quiet strength, that's what keeps her coming back for more. 11. The ultimate mindset shift. Here's the truth you need to grasp. You don't want to be the man who's always available, always chasing. That path leads to being taken for granted. Instead, shift your mindset. Focus on your own life, your own goals, and your well-being. By giving her space, you allow her to experience what life is like without you. That absence speaks volumes. She begins to realize your value because now you're someone she has to work for, not someone she can always count on to be there at her convenience. Lasting attraction isn't built by chasing after someone. It's built by becoming the kind of man who never has to chase. You achieve this by having self-respect, setting boundaries, and valuing your time. When a woman senses that you won't give your energy freely, that she has to earn it, everything changes. You're now in control, not by playing games, but by living with integrity and self-worth. This is what separates the men who get played from the men who stay unforgettable. When your silence begins to take hold, she won't notice it right away. At first, she might think, "Oh, he'll be back soon. He always reaches out." But as time passes and the silence continues, it begins to feel different. It's no longer just an inconvenience. It starts to gnaw at her emotions. She checks her phone more often, hoping to see your name. She rereads old conversations, wondering if there was a moment when she missed the signs that you were pulling away. And now the questions begin to swirl in her mind. Did I push him too far? Was I wrong about him? Is he really gone for good? These doubts stir emotions she wasn't prepared for, and suddenly she's not in control anymore. Here's where many men misunderstand what's really happening. This isn't just about her missing you. It's about a shift in emotional power. She realizes she no longer holds the control she once did, and that realization can be overwhelming. It might even drive her to seek out other men to fill the void. She might start texting old flings, seeking validation from new guys, or posting things online in hopes that you'll notice. But here's the truth. None of it will feel the same. The moment she tries to replace you, she begins to compare. No matter who she talks to, you remain in the back of her mind. You've become a mystery, a question she can't answer. And the more she tries to ignore it, the more it haunts her. Her ego becomes her biggest obstacle. Emotionally, she feels the regret, the longing, the loss. But her ego won't let her admit it. It doesn't want to lose. It won't allow her to be the first to fully own up to her feelings. So instead of reaching out with honesty, she resorts to subtle games. She might send a casual text like, "Hey, hope you're doing well," hoping you'll take the bait and restart the conversation. Or she might post pictures and stories about how amazing her life is, all with the secret hope that you're still watching. But here's the kicker. The moment you don't react, the real battle begins. Now, she's stuck in a state of uncertainty. She can't tell if you've truly moved on or if you've simply mastered something most men never do: detachment. Detachment is the game changer. It's what shatters her ego because it shows her that you were the prize all along. She starts to understand that you weren't just another guy who would wait around forever. You weren't someone who could be strung along. By the time she realizes this, it's often too late. You've changed. You've grown. You've become the man who no longer needs her validation. In that moment, she finally understands what you knew all along. Your value was never tied to her approval. It was always in your ability to walk away. And now, she's the one left wondering if she'll ever get another chance. Here's where most men fail. When a woman comes back after realizing what she's lost, they make the mistake of falling into old patterns. They welcome her back too easily, allowing her to feel in control again. But if you want to maintain respect and attraction, you need to handle this moment carefully. Stay composed. Don't rush to give her your full attention. Let her show through her actions that she's serious about rebuilding the connection. By maintaining your boundaries and self-respect, you continue to hold the emotional power. This isn't about being cold or unkind. It's about making sure she understands that your time and energy are valuable. The man who lives by these principles doesn't just attract women. He earns their lasting admiration and respect. And that is how you shift the dynamic permanently in your favor. When she finally reaches out, most men fall right into the same trap. They respond instantly, overly eager, giving her exactly what she came for: validation. And once she gets that, she disappears all over again. This is why you can't handle this situation like most men. If she comes back, stay grounded. Don't act like her message is the best thing that's happened to you. Don't drop everything to respond right away. Don't make her the center of your world just because she's showing renewed interest. That's what caused her to take you for granted before. Instead, let her work for your time and attention. If she genuinely values you, she'll prove it, not through empty words, but through consistent actions. And if she doesn't, well, congratulations, you've just won. You've freed yourself from the illusion that you needed her in the first place. Here's the truth. You don't chase, you level up. If she disappoints you, don't beg, don't cling. Focus on yourself. Invest in your own growth. Keep pushing forward and let your silence do the talking. Silence isn't just absence, it's power. Remember, the right woman will recognize your worth without you having to convince her. And if you found value in this message, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out the next video. It's exactly what you need to hear next.